letter, very important. That's the first page. 1 or 2 pages max. Signed, like we've already said, the most appropriate person, most times chairman of the governing body, the minister, maybe president of the council for the institution, or whoever is the most appropriate and most ranked organization and person in the organization. This document, it talks about what? It carries a brief outline of how your project relates to the funder's interests, the impact and the outcome. I want us to take note of number 3, the brief outline, not of what you intend, yes, but coined to how your project relates to the funder's interest. That's where sometimes we miss it in our coining. It must tilt and connect to the funder's interest. That's how you get your footing to start with. Then you now help into what? The impact and the outcomes. And then they always want to know who benefits. Who benefits. So this cover letter is what? Straight to the point, clear, but remember, it must connect with who? The funder's interests. The executive summary, normally this is the last part we write. We all know that. This one, I know that we are gurus in this area, but like I say, I'll just touch on the areas that sometimes we overlook. The executive summary should be able to give a very clear picture of everything we're talking about. But I would like to include here that it would be lovely that when generating this aspect of our proposal, that one, we watch our fonts. There are some fonts that we use that end up being a whole lot more catchy. The sizing of our fonting. Please and please, as much as possible, where we can put pictorials, let us include. These are the things that make the document very captivating. The structure of our English. Yes, as professional as it is, let us keep it as simple as possible. Professional jargons and abbreviations. Yes, I know that we already know, but just to reiterate, please, we may need to spell out. Some of the people, again, like I've said before, sitting to take those decisions may not be experts in the field of agriculture. Number 4 is also very key. Stress your credibility. A lot of foreign organizations, what they focus on is credibility. They're looking for credibility and trust. A lot of times, once they can catch in and hem in on this from your document, you're done about 50–60% of that, of sailing through. So stress your credibility. And that is why your professional handles come in very, 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 very key. We'll leave it at this for now. We'll come back to that. The next part of the proposal is introducing you. In talking about who you are, we're not talking just the professional aspect. Like I said, the document, we may feel it is non-living, but remember, your proposal is alive. Have it at the back of your mind, your proposal is alive. It speaks. And it has to connect to another human being. So when you're talking about yourself, in as much as you want to write on all the professional things, coin it in a way that it is catchy. Coin it in a way that they will look at you and they will want to work with you. So whether you're writing on who you are, what you do, where you work or where you serve, and your successes. The way these are structured, very important. But number 4, I must emphasize here, what have been your successes, very key. If we're looking for research, we're looking for funding. A lot of times they're looking for what? History. They're looking for what? Track record of what? Integrity. Track record of what? Success rate. Track record of what? Results. And this is where sometimes pictorials work. Pictorials go a long way. Projects that you've handled, pictures of projects you've handled, how you started, the results you got. These are the things that capture, that are very captivating to the global world. This is what they're looking at. They want to see results. They want to see what you've done with the other ones that probably you've been a part of. And we must never assume what? Funder knowledge, meaning that they may know of you because you're from large organizations, but they might not really know or understand what you do or some intricate details about you. So when you're writing, please, let's concentrate on the very important aspects of who we are, what we do, where we serve, and our successes. Let's keep it as concise and as clear as possible, coined and toned in a way that shows, it gives a human face and is able to do what? Connect with people at the other end, remembering that it's also people that we're talking to at the other end. So our design, now we have a whole lot of apps and document templates that we can use to build our proposals, that just opening the first page already you want to have something to do with this institution or this organization. So let's go the extra mile. There are so many things that we can use now that we have online that turn out document when it comes out so beautiful. Presentation, like I said, first impression, very important. First impression is very important. This adds up. But now we now come down to what? Outline of our opportunity, right? How now this is result of our research. Now we're going now deep into the cocoa of the research aspect. How was your need identified? What research was undertaken to support the conclusion? Is the issue solvable? These are the kind of questions the donors will have at the back of their mind that they want to have answers for. And I know this is our forte because we've been in the academia and we've handled researches for so many years. So I know to pull out this will be very, very comfortable for us, right? Implications of issues not resolved and what generated your project or program. Now, these are the questions that our documents should answer. Clearly, professionally, yet as simply as possible. But I'll keep saying, please, we have current ways of putting our documents together that are so catchy. They have pictorials, they have graphs. We have so many things that make it so interesting, so much so that when someone picks a document, they don't want to drop it. The next part of the proposal is what? Your project description. When we talk about our project description, we talk about our goals and our objectives. Our vision. Then what are the benefits? What's the benefits to us and our society? And what is the benefit to the funder's investment? For instance, I know now in the agricultural field, we have a lot of tilt towards organic crops. Organic. Yet we still need our seeds to be what? High yield. Why? Because as far as we are concerned, a nation like Nigeria that has tilted towards oil for so many years, we feel we should narrow down on our focus on oil and build more on agriculture and other streams. So let's take agri, for instance. People are saying, okay, we want organic crops that are more as organic as possible. But what we've gone into these hybrid seedlings that help to do what? To increase production so that we can feed as many people as possible, so that what? We can avoid hunger and alleviate poverty. But is there a way that we can generate these seedlings that are is there a way we can strike a balance? Let's assume this is one of the things we want to work on. This is the research that we're working on. And we're talking about the benefits to the funder, the benefits to us. Benefits to us, number one, is you are generating crops that most likely will help to create a healthier nation. Because we believe that when you take crops that are as organic as possible, you're helping to build healthier people. But you're also striking the balance of, in as much as the crops are healthy, they are still high yield. So you're balancing health and quantity. And for the funders' return of investment, they can be said to have aided what? Probably the elimination of one or two diseases that have been what? Terminal in a nation. But these are the kind of things that we talk about when we talk about benefits. Number 4 says, what will the impact of your project or program be, and how will it make a difference? Of course, in these other ones, we believe that if the crops are more organic and high yielding, we believe that what? Will have better health and probably longer life. So this could be the impact of this kind of project. How will it make a difference? People are healthier and people are living what? Longer, because we believe that there's this belief that some of these chemicals may tilt towards cancer and some ailments. If we can prove that our high yield crops don't contain these chemicals or are produced in a way that they're not exposed to these things that lead to this kind of adverse ailments, then it's a huge benefit to both ourselves and to the funder. Then who will be the people involved in the project? Like we've already said, it's teamwork. So we need to pull on every hand possible that can help us put together a very befitting document that stands out globally. Then, number 7, very important. Most of these organizations are very, very interested in what? Evaluation. Evaluation. Who will be doing what? When? What data will be collected and how? And how will success be measured? The last part, importantly, how will success be measured? So at the back of our mind, when we are putting our documents together, these are the things that they look out for. All right? I hope we're all together. I hope we're all together.
Yes, we do.
We are
Okay.
together.
Clear.
Okay, okay.
Very well.
Together. And we are following, right on.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So let's move on. I needed to ensure that we're together. Now we're moving into another aspect of the project. So now the next aspect is the financial aspect. We are looking for money, but they want to know how we're going to use that money and how we will account for the money. But every organization, based on their objectives, put value on different aspects, more value on some aspects of your financials over the other. There are some donors who are very interested in research. So if you're pumping the bulk of it into research, they don't mind. Your budget can show that. There are some that are interested in what? Results, poverty alleviation, and all those things. So they want to see the bulk of the money being pumped into that. So when you're aligning your budget with your project outline, that also needs to align with the key objectives of the donor. What is their priority? What is their focus? What is their goal? That determines where the bulk of the funds is going to be what is to be pumped into. So when we are building our budget, when we are building our financials, a very good understanding of what our donors are interested in, we cannot run away from it. We must look at what their key interest is and where they want the bulk of their fundings to be channeled into. And that is how we should build and also apply the funding when we get it. Yes, we have opportunity to build in contingency, but after taking into consideration the key areas that go into this budget. Then some will also want to know, because depending on how much you're seeking, some of these funders may be able to give you all, some may not. So if they're not able to cover the full fund for the project, they will want to know if extra is needed, where is it coming from? That's why some donors will require that you have 30% of the fund, 50% of the fund for what you're requesting already. And then where is it coming from? Is it coming from the university? Is it coming from the government? Is it coming from where? Because also some of these donor organizations, when they normally, some insist that if you have gotten funding from one donor organization, they will not give to you. So these are the kind of things we take into cognizance. So when we're building our financials, we need to look, this is a very delicate aspect. Take into cognizance all these tiny nitty-gritty aspects. Once we get this right, this is another good seal for us, but we must also get this aspect right. Ideally, this training, proposal writing, normally this session should be the first run through. Then after this, we have the practical sessions where each of these things that we've mentioned, from the cover letter to the executive summary to every other aspect, is actually carried out practically. And a lot of times done using various types of current apps that we have now. We have a whole lot of apps and software and documents that we can use, document templates that we can use that make this easy, yet very, very accurate and captivating. So we're going to have this, because of the timing, this will just be a run through, but ideally the next step should be a very practical session. The next part we're going to go into on this proposal writing for resource mobilization is recognition of the funder. People give a lot of these foreign organizations, when they give funds, they want to show. They want the world to know that they have actually done this and they have impacted. So on that document, we need to clearly state how are we going to recognize our funder. And for us to be able to do that aptly, we need to have understood what are their expectations. Some may want videos and all that. No. Some may want documents showing success rates. Some may want different aspects. So we must understand what are their expectations, so that when we are carrying out this activity of recognition, we're actually hitting the nail on the head. Some will want step-by-step information. Some may want it quarterly, depending on the duration. Some may want it at the beginning, mid-project, at the end, depending on their structure. But a lot of our donors will want us to do what? Keep them informed. And all these things are quite important. Why? Because most times, once you've dealt with a donor and you have a relationship and you have a good track record, getting subsequent funds will be easier. We must always remember that recognition expectations of secular funders may differ based on organization and what they stand for. But above all, keeping the funder informed is very important. Sending reports as at when due is very important. Why? Because this shows to your funder or the donor accountability for tomorrow. All right? So we've run through some of the key areas, but when we're starting our project, one key thing that helps is what? Our checklist. Our checklist. So we've gone through everything now. Now let's go through our checklist carefully. Number one, we've made contact. Number one, we've made contact either through letter, a cover letter, or through a call, or face-to-face. Either way, we've made contact. After we made contact, number one thing, the next thing is what? A signed and completed application form. Duly signed by the appropriate individuals. Then the next thing is our financial statement. Our financial statement. We have two. You have your budget, and some of them may actually want the financials of the organization. So depending on what their terms and conditions are, we make available those things. The next item on our checklist is what? Minutes of the most recent annual meeting. A lot of times they look at this for consent by the institution or organization for the access of these funds. The next on our checklist is what? Names of executives and positions. This sometimes is a profile of the key individuals in the organizations and in the institution. Like I keep saying, the world is a global village now. Our social presence is key. So the names of the executives, their positions, and their short profile, a lot of times there'll be a background check, just something like through your social media, your presence, your professional handles, and all of that. A profile and history of the organization and its accomplishments, very important, very, very important. This is where you talk about yourself. This is where you let the world know who you are and what you stand for. Then your mission, clearly, vision, and the values of your organization. Then the cover letter, and then your executive summary. So I know we all have this, but we just, like we said, this is just a pictorial of an average proposal format where you have the cover page, table of contents, the executive summary, the introduction, problem assessment, talking about your problem analysis, beneficiary and participants profile, resources available. Then you have your program design, your program strategy, your program objective with indicators, activities, and monitoring and evaluation plans for each objective. You have your project management and organization. You have the budget narrative in detail. And then you have your appendices, where you have all the other documents attached, like your work plan, your work plan and every other additional information that goes. Now, I'm going to take a little pause here and I want a comment now. For me, this diagram we're looking at is just a summary of what our proposal should be. This diagram here, it's a tree. It has the roots, it has the stem, and then it has the branches, the leaves, the fruits, if you want to put it, right? For every situation, every project, every proposal we're putting in, our donor agencies or the individuals reviewing our document should be able to pictorially see, after going to document, have this picture in summary in their head clearly. When we talk about your problem, what are the causes and what are the effects? This is how it should come when they finish going through that document. Even if it is a layman, at the end of going through that document, they should be able to, number one, clearly see the problem statement. What caused this problem? Which is the reason why you want to embarking on this research and investing in this developmental project, and what you want to be the resultant effect. Now, at this point, I want to take a commentary. Is there anybody here who can give us an illustration, an example of a problem statement, what the cause is, and the effect? Just one or two people. Just one or two people. Are we together?
Hello, can I say something?
Indicate.
Yes, please.
Okay. Let me give an example, context,
Beautiful.
Nigeria.
Okay, sir.
Poverty is a problem.
Yes, sir.
More than 110 million, over 60% are living below poverty level.
Yeah.
It's a problem. The major cause is population explosion. The country is growing at the rate of 4 to 5% annually. That is the major cause, from my viewpoint, to the overpopulation. And we are not able to feed ourselves and live basic standard of life. I don't know, I may have, I may have presented the problem, what I think is the cause, and the direction we should go. And I think that the direction we should go is that very subtle efforts at education or educating our people, creating jobs so that we can handle our population growth. I will not want to go the way of some countries that are growing below 1%. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, you've admitted me. Since I was on
One house. One house. Hmm? Hello, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Professor Uche. Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, I'm
thank you,
hearing
Professor
you.
Uche. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Yes. I appreciate this case study you've given us now, talking about poverty alleviation in our nation, Nigeria, right? With the cost being an explosion in population, right? And the way to go being job creation. But now, can we tilt our job creation towards agriculture, where we can actually expand our agricultural industry to a point where our youth are effectively and happily, I say happily, why? Because whatever we want the youth, because when we talk about engaging our population now, we need to realize that interests vary with generation. With your generation, sir, the professors, the mindset there is different. The ability, the staying power is different. The way you go and the way you see things is different. With my own generation, it's also different. And then with the Gen Zs that are just coming on now, we must, if we want to get them gainfully employed, we must find a way to make these areas where we work very attractive for them. Like, I love this one now. We need to increase ability to feed people so that they can feed well. So these young ones we must be able to pull them into our industry, agriculture, where they can do what? Help in increasing the production of crops for feeding in our nation. But sir, there's one area I want you to touch on for us clearly, and that is the effects. In the long run, let's assume that the donor agency now has given you the funds to put together a project that will alleviate funding poverty as a result of explosion on population, right? And you have implemented. What would be the resultant effect? What is the anticipated resultant effect? Hello, sir.
Please, I want to contribute.
Or anybody, yes, sir. Or anybody can speak. Sir?
Yes, I want to
Okay, Professor Waka, please go ahead, sir. Please go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. Thank you.
Please, writing a proposal, it is also necessary to find out how that proposal will affect, or how the execution of that proposal will affect the people who are living in that area. Find out what is their problem. What is their problem?
Yes. Yes.
For instance, I want to give an example. Some years ago, I was a consultant with the Northeast Arizona Development Program. It's purely agricultural and environmental organization, where the main thing was to carry out, to help the farmers to produce more food. And how would they go about it? Now we found out that the farmers do a lot of work, but the proceed is very small. We found out also that the farmers, there was always conflict between the herders and the farmers. So what we did was to find how to improve their productivity and at the same time how to solve the problem between the herders and the farmers. So after the interview, we interviewed the farmers, we interviewed the herders. We had to bring them together. We solved it by connecting farmers and herders. The farmers, the herders, we made them understand that they need to farm also. So land was given to them. They were attached to farmers. After the harvest, their cows will go into that place, fertilize. When they have already harvested, the cat will go in there, so eat what is remaining there and fertilize there. They keep them there for months. They fertilize the place. The herders also produce their own grains for their goods and for the animals. So it is very necessary when you are trying to find out what is the problem, so that you can solve the agricultural problem and solve the environmental problem.
Hello, Mr. Waka.
Am I clear? Hello?
Yes, hello, Prof. Yes, Prof. We lost you the last few minutes, please. Just take it again. The last few minutes, we lost you, Prof.
Okay. What I said that my summary there was that when you are writing the proposal, take into cognition the problems of the people where you are going to carry out that research. What is their problem?
Yes,
find out so that you solve. So increase the agricultural productivity and solve the societal or environmental problems if they will first in implementing the project. Thank you very much.
Beautiful, Prof, sir. Thank you. Really appreciate you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. I think you've given us. The problem here is header farmer issues. With the costs being probably them being in the same space and not having a good understanding over years, and the resultant effect being that if we can attain harmony, there's benefit all around for both the headers, the farmers, and the community at large. But the learning point that you've given us is location, understanding of the location, the community, and the people where the project is going to be implemented is key. Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you also, Prof. Bless you for contributing. So now this is the aim of this diagram. It's just a summary of what our proposal should be. At a glance, the donors or the donor agencies or whoever is giving funds will need to see it. Of course, each aspect, the cost is the whole write-off, the problem is the whole write-off, the effect is the whole write-off, but this is what they are looking at. People want to see what the cost is, what exactly is bringing up this problem that made you arrive at this problem statement. And in the long run, when you get the funds, what is the effect going to be? Of course, the effect is they want to see that it's touching lives. People are living better. The society has improved. Either way, in one way or another, they just want to see that lives have been touched, situations, living standards are better, and that overall, there's an improvement on standard of living. Okay, so I think we can move on. So now we're going to go into some proposal tips. Number one thing, like I keep saying, when we're generating our document, what we believe is very powerful. So let's start from the point of view of believing that we'll get the money. That's number one. That's why it's bold and it's centered. Believe, number one, that you get the money. Because anything you're doing, you must be positive and you must believe in it. No matter how tough, no matter how steep the competition is, we must believe that we will get the money. Number two, keep things simple. All right, keep it simple, keep it professional. Customize your proposal to your donor. Frame your request in positive terms and state clearly, that's the resultant effect we talked about in the diagram. How will your project make a difference? Very key. Every donor wants to know that. How will it make a difference? Customize. Sometimes we take documents and we reuse it, but there was an instance of an organization that was sending out an application. It was called an application to the Smith Foundation. The application was excellent. Everything was perfect. Of course, the donor name had to be repeated over and over again in the course of the proposal. And the donor name was Smith Foundation. But because it was a generic document that they were tweaking to suit a specific organization, they had their standard document, they were just editing it to suit a specific document. They forgot to change the name on the last page. So on the last page, when they were referring to the donor, instead of writing Smith Foundation, the document still carried the Jones Foundation. Now this talks about editing. When we are done with our proposal, it is very important that we have, it's not everybody that is gifted in proofreading. That's why we need to work as a team, and everyone is important in the team. Nobody is more important than the other. Some people are naturally gifted with proofreading and editing. Why? Because proofreading and editing takes a lot of patience, and you must have an eye for details. So when we are done with our documents, we must have someone, a part of our team, who is an expert at proofreading and editing, so that tiny little mistakes will not be retained on our document. Our document, as much as possible, should be as foolproof as possible. Error-free, no matter how little. Other tips are avoid in-house jargon. Define all acronyms, whatever, because we are in an industry, we think we are in the industry, we think everybody will understand. We think everybody will understand what we're writing, but no, everything should be expanded clearly. We should try and direct a proposal to a person and not use to whom it may concern as much as possible. Let's get the appropriate person that we're supposed to write to and let the document be addressed in that pattern. Like I said before, we have templates now for proposals that enable our documents come out so beautiful, so catchy, So we should try and, give our document that facelift, pictures, diagrams, our fonts, some colors, charts, let our document should be alive, let it breathe, let it speak, let it communicate. When people see it, they want to read it. A lot of times proposals tend to be boring. No, our proposal can be exciting. Our proposal can be catchy. Our proposal can breathe. Our proposal can live. Let's give it that breath of life. I know already, because we are professors here, we are doctors, we have all the info. Yes, that's why I'm not hitting on that side, because we're already skilled in that area. But I would like us to work on the presentation, on the excitement of the document when we're sending it out. These things matter now, especially in the global world, right? Remember, we should also remember to credit our sources, where we get our information and all of that. Please, very important, right? We should use our spell checks, grammar. I've talked about editing, style checks, and every other things. Proofread and edit, very important. This adds to our rating of us with regards to professionalism and excellence. Get someone else to read over and over again. Grammar and style, very important. Like I said, your mindset, your person is reflected in the structure of your grammar and your style. And that speaks a whole lot. Just like we say in face-to-face communication, that your non-verbals speak like 70% more than your verbals. The same thing with your proposal document. The proposal document speaks your tone, your structure, your style. It speaks a whole lot. And these are things that sometimes we overlook. Even your font style, the design of the document, all these things are what turns our document from a static document to a living document. Now we don't have static documents any longer. We have documents that live, they breathe, they captivate, they hold. That's the kind of documents we want to have now. We have the content, yet let's work on the other end, all right? And then once more, over and over and over again, please proofread carefully. When we are also talking about keeping it simple, we need to realize that in as much as we're keeping it simple, there are very important aspects or information that we cannot throw out. So those aspects, we should be careful and ensure that they are all contained. They are, like we've talked about a whole lot of them up front, but I keep talking about yourself, the organization. There are very key aspects about yourself and the organization that are very key, especially as it affects the interest of the donor agency. If it's a donor agency that's interested in an organization that has a whole lot, that has a good foundation in research, then you must emphasize on your strength in research. If it is one that is very interested in poverty alleviation, then you expand on your area with regards to your own strength in poverty alleviation. So there are key areas that we must, in as much as we want to keep it concise and simple, we must emphasize so that it connects appropriately. I know that numbering pages, that's normal, but placing our name, organization's name, institution's name, and dates in our footer, very important, because sometimes some pages of our document can get mixed up or missing and all that. That is what they use to locate and put it back together. So please, either the name, the logo, sometimes we put name, we put logo, we put date, we put all of that. All that help with tracing and tracking, and also the branding of your document. Taking time out, say begin early. Give yourself lots of time to prepare, to review, to consult, and to redraft. Sometimes because we feel that there's so much time, we keep putting it away. But like the Englishman said, he said, a stitch in time saves 9. If we know we want to handle a project, a proposal, start as early as possible. Last minute does not work. No matter how much information you have, no matter how skilled you think you are, the earlier you start, when you write with ease, you build better, and you run lesser chance of making mistakes. So start in time, review appropriately, and submit on time. Organization's name on each page, very important once more. Then, in summary, after reading your proposal, can the funder answer yes to the following W's? Who is the project helping? Like Professor Mwapa said, it could be header farmer. That could be the problem, saving the community at large. It could be that it's saving the community at large. Or like Prof. Uche gave us, it could be a proposal that is helping to alleviate poverty an improved standard of living, and it can be clearly measured. What will the project do to provide help? In the header farmer, it will help to resolve the conflict so that even the whole community can live better at peace. In Professor Uche's own, the project will help to provide what? Jobs, probably in specific areas that can help with generating more food to help people feed and live better and ultimately alleviate poverty, right? When will the help be provided? Now you have, this is under your work plan. If you get the funds, what is the timing? If it is the farmer header for your conflict management and your negotiations and all that, what do you think is the timeline? What is your strategy? When do you think you will get results? If it is for the work, the empowerment for the youth, what do you think is your strategy? What do you think will be the timeline, for things to start to fall into place? Where is the project taking place? Fantastic. Like Professor Waka said, he says location is key. So where is the project taking place? Specific. Why? Because that will reflect how you go about it and what the expectant result at the end will be. Why is the project needed? And why should your donor be interested? In Professor Uche's zone, the project is needed to alleviate poverty and to improve on standard of living. For Professor Waka's zone, the project is needed, number one, for even security and life to start with, because with farmer header clashes, it's a lot of lives go down. It is going to help to improve security, standard of living, peace in the environment, and so many other things. So our project, when we're putting our proposal together, from what we put together, can the donor answer these questions comfortably, right? And then we must realize that in life, like I said, we should expect that we will get the funds. We should expect that we will get the funds. But just in case we don't. Number one, they will come. So some will apply, they will get the funds, they will execute their project. But in case, remember that we can not now. The fact that you got a no does not mean that the project has ended. A no may just be that probably God is telling you that the timing is not right. Probably you need to put one or two things in place and then come back again. Bottom line, learn from your experience, then try again. You miss 100% of the shots you never take. You miss 100% of the shots you never take. So do what? Keep writing your proposals, keep building those skills, because we know that the funds will come in, and those lovely researches and those lovely projects that we want to execute, we will get to execute them. Why? Because we need to build a better Nigeria. We need to pull hands together to touch lives. We need to pull hands together to alleviate poverty. We need to pull hands together to help to resolve a whole lot of conflict in the society. We need to pull hands together to provide food, improve agriculture, and do so many things that are beneficial to each and every one of us. So we will not stop writing our proposals, and we know by the grace of God, we will continue to get those funds in. We are going to go now into summary of donor organizations that invest in agriculture. Some we may know of, and some we may not know of. Some we may know of, and some we may not know of. The first on the list is the Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa. And this organization, the main aim is to invest in projects with a measurable impact that is able to bring about a worthwhile transformative change in the agricultural sector. So now you see their own focus is what? Agriculture. The awarding of the grants by the organization is preceded by intensive and collective planning between the GRA and the institutions that have been identified for funding. But they only offer grants to organizations that have been found to possess technical expertise, number one, operational capability, number two, and those that have the experience to implement their transformative agenda. So question here is, this kind of organization, we need to find out what is the transformative agenda. They are also interested in organizations that have adequate internal control. So grantees that are eligible should fall into any of the following categories: seed companies, financial institutions, farmer organizations, markets to farmer produce board, private sector organizations, national research institutions, universities and other educational institutions, agro dealers, governments, ministries, and not-for-profit organizations. We move to the next. The next one on our listing is the E for Impact. E for Impact is an initiative that was launched in 2010 by the Altis Graduate School of Business and Society. Its main purpose is to train impact entrepreneurs. Now, see this, we talked about this, their focus is what? Entrepreneurs, impact entrepreneurs in developing countries to support the startup and the growth of their business. The portfolio activities of the E for Impact entail the following: entrepreneurship programs, because that's their focus. Their focus is developing impact entrepreneurs. So, entrepreneurship programs, multilateral projects, services for the expansion of European SMEs, and accelerators of new business. So you see these ones, their focus is also different. Next on our list is the International Fund for Agricultural Development, abbreviation IFAD. And their focus is to provide low interest loans to projects that have reached about, bottom line, that their goal is to provide low interest loans. They invest majorly in rural people through empowering them to increase their food security, increase their income, and improve their family. So this one falls into Professor Uche's example. Now, the low-income people, rural people, poverty alleviation, and to increase food security. All right, but they focus in areas where they have hunger and poverty issues. And we have the International Development Research Center, right? This is based in Canada, and they have offices in India, Jordan, Kenya, and some other countries, right? They are interested in projects and research in developing countries. They provide funding, grants, and awards to researchers and projects that aim to find solutions to the global development challenges. The center requests research proposals to fund projects that promote climate resilient food systems. So they are focusing on climate resilient food systems, education and science, global health, sustainable and inclusive economies in developing nations. Next, we have OPEC Fund for International Development. The work of OPEC Fund is people-centered and mainly targets projects that meet the basic need of people, including food, clean water, energy, education, healthcare, and sanitation, aiming at promoting self-reliance and hope for the future. It extends grants in support of capacity building activities, special development initiatives, as well as technical assistance. The organization has also provided emergency aid grants after occurrence of various crises. Next, we have the Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation. It undertakes development cooperation activities that aim to reduce poverty in developing nations through supporting the civil society and the government's development activities. The corporation is committed to undertaking developmental funding in 14 priority countries. The agency focuses on the following areas: agriculture, health, education, environment, employment, migration, economic integration, governance, and gender. This is the first one that tilts towards gender. Number 7 is the National Institute of Food and Agriculture, NIF. This supports extensive activities, education and research through the following funding mechanisms: competitive grants, capacity grants, non-competitive grants. Their Office of Grants and Financial Management provides guidance and support to recipients of the awards during the life cycle of the grant. So these ones have an oversight role through the process, the cycle, the period of the project, and cooperative agreements. The life cycle phase of the grant includes a pre-award, award, post-award, and a closeout. Then we have the African Development Fund. It's a concessional financing window of the African Development Bank Group. It provides technical assistance, concessional loans, and grants to the region's member countries. It offers technical assistance for capacity building and studies in order to support projects as well as programs that aim to stimulate poverty reduction and economic development. And the last on our listing, but not the least, is Agriculture Fast Track Fund. It's under the African Development Bank and builds upon previous commitments of G8 and G20 through supporting food security projects that are socially beneficial, environmentally sustainable, and financially sound. The projects that are supported by this organization are part of the food security projects that support Africa's agricultural transformational agenda. They also provide funds for project development costs that include financial modeling, business plan development, market research, feasibility studies, environmental and social impact studies. The eligible countries initially include Burkina Faso, Ghana, Mozambique, and Tanzania that form the new Alliance of the Food Security and Nutrition. So this is a summary of some donor agencies that we have that we can actually approach. We included this in the document to help us just because some of us may not know, some already know. So these are some of our donor agencies that we can actually give funds in our area. And at this juncture, I want to say thank you for listening. And I hope that it has been beneficial in some way. And we'll pause at this point to take questions and answers. Comments, questions, and answers.
Let's put our hands together for our guest lecturer. Put your hands together for her, please. Great, we're right on time.
Thank you very much. Well done, well spoken, well demonstrated. Thank you. That's welcome.
Yeah, you can raise your hands to be recognized. That's right. Go ahead.
Yes. Go ahead, Prof. Kunduri, please go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, presenter, for your very eloquent presentation. We have actually learned a lot from your presentation. Mine is not a question, but rather some information that I would like to give to the House. Towards the end of your presentation, you listed some bodies that people can approach for research funding. And I want to bring to the attention of the House that even right here in the country, under the National Research Fund in TED Fund, there's a lot of money that's available for research. And I want to believe that quite a number of our colleagues have actually applied, and they're enjoying, or they have enjoyed it in the past. The thing is that normally every year for the past couple of years, TED Fund allocates up to about 5 billion naira for funding cutting edge research that have potential for on national impact. But then, to my greatest surprise, normally the calls come out and are advertised widely on pages of newspaper. But then the response that I get, particularly, let me introduce myself as national chairman of the NRF. The kind of response that we get, particularly from our colleagues, the soil scientists, is not too encouraged. I would like to use this opportunity to inform and then also sensitize our colleagues that the money is out there. So in as much as we want to access other funding agencies, we're relying on quite a huge sum of money here in the country that members can actually apply and benefit. It normally starts with a call for concept notes, and those concept notes that qualify are requested to proceed to the full proposal. And normally we have a portal, and all these things are there, the guidelines, the research brief. And in fact, one interesting thing that you may know is that even the template, the scoring template for both concept notes and proposals are there. So I would like to encourage our colleagues to very much avail themselves of.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you, Professor Kunduri. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. NIS will assist you. NIS will assist you in making this information available to all soil scientists.
Sure,
whether you're registered or not. As long as you're soil scientists, we'll reach out.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Sir. So any other comments, any other contributions, please? Hands up. Any other comments, any other contributions, please?
All right, if there are no more comments, I cannot attempt to summarize what she has said because she was very, very explicit. I've started receiving quite a number of comments commending our presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, following the program, let us go to a vote of thanks. May I invite Professor Jubrim, the president of the Soil Science Society of Nigeria, to take this particular item. Thank you, Jubrim.
Thank you very much, the registrar. I hope I'm clear. I'm on the road traveling, but I find the lecture very engaging and very interesting and very, very important for our members. So I followed every bit of it in the car. Our speaker was very explicit and well experienced in how she presented the process of grants writing, the opportunities available. So we thank you very much for giving us this very excellent lecture. I also want to thank the president of NIS and the registrar for organizing these professional development courses. So far, there have been very, very excellent presentations. This is the fifth, I guess. And each of the previous lectures have been very enlightening, very engaging for everybody, not only the young soil scientists, but even the older ones always learn a thing or two from such presentations. So on behalf of the members of Soil Science Society of Nigeria and all soil scientists, I thank you for the excellent presentation. I also thank the NIS Council for organizing this professional training. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, President. Let me make a promise. This lecture was recorded. We'll make copies available to all those that attended. And then we've taken record of those that attended. You'll be scored against the next annual practicing license. Like the president of NIS said, we're going to use that to determine whether you've made the cutoff point for the renewal of your license. Thank you, and thank you so much. We'll announce the next lecture. Let me remember to appreciate the president of the Soil Science Society of Nigeria for the monthly lecture series on soils, which he has put in place. So far, the first one. And I guess the second one will be coming up. Is it in June? Right. Thank you.
Initially, it was supposed to be June, but we realized the date is Salah Day, so it's going to be on 5th July.
Okay, 5th July, great. That's great. Okay. All right, bye then, everybody. Come again when we invite you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
sir. Bye.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well
Bye,
done.
everyone.
Next time we'll take a photograph.
Bye,
See all of you
everyone.
next
Everybody.
time.
Bye,
Bye
bye.
bye. I can see my
Thank you, sir.
I can see
Bye.
Bye, bye.
No item
Yeah.
some.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Item 7 is network. We're not hearing you.
Yes,
Bye.
sir. Thank you.
Goodbye.
There's a
Thank
network
you.
problem for
Bye, bye.
item 7.
Nobody should ask for item some.
No network problem here in Ibadan. No network problem.
Okay. All right.
All right, sir.
Goodbye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
God bless
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, IT.
Bye, sir.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Yes, sir.
Bye, bye.
IT, thank you. The IT of NIS, thanks for a good job. There were no disruptions. Great.
Thank you, sir.
Great, good job, good job.
Right. I'll call you soon, sir.
Thank you,
All
sir.
right. Okay, Prof. You're going to read. Very good. Very good.
It was a good day. Well done.
Hello, sir.
My Prof.
Well done, sir. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.